Warhammer can be an incredibly daunting and overwhelming hobby to get into, especially for new players. So today we're going to go all the way to the basics of assembling and building your miniatures. Welcome to Warp Storm Warmaster. My name is Aaron, and first things first is you've got yourself a nice new box of miniatures. I've got here some jump pack intercessors, so let's go through everything we're going to need to build and assemble your first models of Warhammer 40K. Now, the tools we're going to need to be able to assemble our model, we're going to first need a nice sharp pair of pliers, a hobby knife, and of course plastic glue. Also, I'll have links in the description below for all the tools I'm using. Now let's open our box up and have a look at what's inside. We're going to find our sprues, our bases, transfers, and also the instructions. Before continuing any further, now would be a really good time to check the current rules for your miniatures and also what loadouts and war gear you wish to be equipping them with. For instance, for the sergeant of this squad, I'm going to be running him with a plasma pistol and a power fist. Now that I know what I want to build from this kit, let's start by looking at the instructions and following it step by step from there. With this kit, it's stating building one model at a time, so for this one, we can cut out all the pieces for this one model, then clean and prep each part for the assembly. When using the pliers on the sprues, I try and get it as flush as possible with the piece to provide as minimal cleanup as possible. Now that all the pieces for this model have been cut out from the sprue, it's time to start getting the hobby knife and cleaning up all the cuts we made with the pliers. A nice easy rule here with the hobby knife is to take it really slow and take small amounts each time, because you can always take a little bit more, but you can never put it back on. Though if you do find that you don't like using a hobby knife or you have a fear of hurting yourself, you can also use some fine sandpaper to do this step as well. And unfortunately, another part of the cleanup process is cleaning up mold lines from the parts. So for here, you can see on the leg, there is a mold line running down the shin and also the knees. We just use our hobby knife and gently scrape. Now, we're not cutting like the previous step. We just want to scrape our blade and get rid of that burr from the mold line. Now that we've finished the cleanup stage to this miniature, it's time to start gluing these pieces together. To start, I always recommend dry fitting the pieces first, only because once you apply glue, it can get very messy to try and unglue something. Plastic glue is a lot different to something that you might normally use like super glue. It won't bond to anything else but plastic. It'll create a chemical weld that essentially melts the two pieces together. So be very careful with your application, because if you do get excessive amounts and it drips down your model, it can affect and destroy detail. So go slow and be patient. Follow the instructions and make sure the pieces fit together before you apply any glue. Plastic glue does bond pretty quickly, but it also does have a sort of soft stage where the parts will stick to each other, but you can still sort of move them around for a little bit to get the position you want. Also, even though you are building a model and it comes with instructions, do take some creative freedoms. Like, for instance, I am building a sergeant for a jump pack intercessors. I can throw a lot more like purity seals and things like that on him, but I'm just going a basic one here just to show how it's done. But at the end of the day, they're your models, and if you think they're cool, then they're cool. Once you finish assembling the model, it's time to glue him to his base, and plastic glue will work on the black bases that Games Workshop provide. For this one, I did try and make sure that like his head is at the center of the base, because even though they are doing like an outlandish like half flying pose, I did try and make it so that the center of gravity was at the middle of the base. And if you've been building along with me today, then congratulations, you've just assembled your first model. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please do type them below. As well, I have now got a Discord for Warpstorm Warmaster. Please join, it's completely free. And I'll be posting everything hobby related I'm doing. And also if you just want an opinion on how you're painting or you're building something and you want some advice, post on there, or even just share anything Warhammer related. So thank you for watching Warpstorm, and I'll see you Warmasters next time.
There's nothing